To do that, and I completely forgot. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'll let Angie get settled in. Are you settled and ready to go?
Oh, yes. Ready and
Ready. The regular session of the Madison County Board of Education for Thursday, July 25th, 2019 is called into session. Mr. Curry, would you be so kind as to give us the invocation? Sorry, I caught you off guard there.
No. All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for this board. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as we lead the students, teachers, and faculty in Madison County schools. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ready to get going?
Yes, sir.
All right, item B, I recommend approval of the agenda dated July 25th, 2019.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval for the agenda dated July 25th, 2019. Any discussion? If there is none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Item C, I recommend approval of the minutes dated July 6th and July 24th, or excuse me, June 6th and June 24th, 2019.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval of the minutes dated June 6th and June 24th, 2019. Is there any discussion on the minutes? If there is no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Item D, Superintendent's updates. Just want to let everybody know, we had an outstanding event on Monday and Tuesday with our building administrators here with the Solution Tree PLC hybrid event. We had our assistant principals, our new principals in the morning or throughout the day. Our principals came in the afternoon, and we actually were able to participate live in a conference that was actually held up in Illinois, and it was with the PLC process. I want to thank Mr. Solly and his team for putting that together. It was a great, great day, and had some very, very excited administrators when they left here those 2 days. Second
Hold on,
thing.
I'm going to tag on to your superintendent update. Welcome to the board table.
Oh, thank you.
Glad to have you up here for your first official meeting. So with that, I will let you continue on.
Absolutely. Second thing, just excited next Tuesday, July 30th, we have teachers coming back. So I don't know how excited they are. I think it depends on the age of their children a lot, if they're ready to get started and get the children back into school, or if they're empty nesters and still enjoying their summer vacation. But we're excited about having them back next Tuesday. And, finally, we have students coming back Wednesday, August 7th. So it's kind of that ready or not, here they come. But I really feel that the preparation that our team has done, the group that sits out in front of you, our directors and central office staff, our principals, they have done a phenomenal job of getting ready for the school year. And I'm very, very proud of what we've accomplished this summer and ready for these students to come back for another great year.
There we go.
So we're at presentation, sir.
All right.
So today we have Mr. John Allen here from the Committee of 100, who's going to speak to us today about the Creative Cities Fund to support National Board Certified Teachers.
Great.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for all that you do for the students each and every day in Madison County. And Mr. Superintendent, welcome as well to your position. My name's John Allen. I'm the CEO of the Huntsville Committee of 100, and we're a business advocacy organization, and we really focus for the last 24 years since we were founded on three main areas. One is cooperative local government. Number two is long-term economic development. And then the third, albeit the most important, is high-quality public education. And so over the last 5 years, we've created a philanthropic arm for the Committee of 100 called the Creative Cities Fund. And the Creative Cities Fund is really driven to move ideas forward that are innovative in economic development and also public education. So the last 2 years, we've really been focused on public education in the efforts for our Creative Cities Fund. And again, it's to raise funds for innovative practices in education, raise those funds quickly, and then put them back into the system quickly so that we can have maximum impact with some of these ideas that we have. And so this year, our Creative Cities team, and I'll introduce you to Linda Aikenhead, one of our co-chairs for Creative Cities. But this year, our Creative Cities team has decided that National Board Certified Teachers is really the area that we need to focus on in a big way. And so Linda is going to share with you kind of the campaign, kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're trying to work on, and then I'll tell you just a little bit about where we're at with the process. So Linda Aikenhead.
Well, thank you all so much for letting us speak. I've got prepared remarks, so I'm going to just follow a script, if that's okay with you, so that we could stay in a time frame here.
Absolutely.
All right, tonight, John and I are here to represent the greater business community. We're here to demonstrate, not just through words, but through tangible action, that the business community is fully invested in the success of the Madison County, Madison City, and Huntsville city school systems. At the 2019 State of Schools address, all three superintendents asked the community to support our teachers, to increase the resources available to teachers, and to improve professional development opportunities. As business leaders, we know the importance of recruiting, training, and retaining the highest level of talent for an organization. We must create the same opportunities for our educators. So the business community is taking action. The Creative Cities Fund is committed to raising funds for 100 National Board Certified teachers in our three school systems. National Board Certification is impactful in the classroom. National Board Certified teachers typically deliver 1 to 2 months of learning gains for all students, and even more for high-need students. Most importantly, National Board Certification enables the teachers to teach at the highest level and to become instructional leaders in their own schools. The cost to send one teacher through the certification process is approximately $2,000. For some teachers, the cost is the primary barrier to achieving national certification. As members of the business community, we want to help. Currently, we've raised over $55,000 for our teachers in just 1 month, with more money on the way. We anticipate raising the $200,000 by the end of this year, or sooner. We are talking to many civic and business organizations. We are leveraging our broad networks, and as a collective group, we are committed to the highest level of excellence for our teachers and our students. The Creative Cities Funds asks for the board's support as we undertake this endeavor, and we welcome opportunities to collaborate throughout the process. And I'm going to let John just do a tie-up here real quick.
So hopefully you can see, we really see the value in national board certification for teachers in all three of our systems. We believe it's a rocket ship effect to drive achievement and high expectations in our systems. We were so fortunate on Tuesday this week to host a breakfast of all the national board certified teachers in our three systems, and we had about 32 teachers participate. And I will tell you, I wish we really would have recorded the whole thing because it was so inspirational in the words that they had. The common theme through their conversation that hour was transformational in their teaching, transformational in how they deliver instruction to the students. And so, we really believe, again, if we can commit in a big way in national board certified teachers in all three of our systems, that we can really drive achievement no matter where that student is in the course of their education. So again, as a business community, we're really partnering with you. We need your help to share our message, to share our message about national board certified teachers. We're trying to do this in a very large way. This is one of the largest campaigns that we've ever executed from our organization. And separately, we're also working with all three systems to work on a public relations campaign as well with an additional fundraising effort that we're doing in conjunction to this as well. National Board of Professional Teaching Standards has been an excellent partner for us. They're working with us on a public relations campaign that's going to roll out in August and September about board certified teachers. So this process is really moving forward in a big way, and we believe it'll be impactful in a large way. So any way that you can help us tell that story, we appreciate all of that support in any way that you can, and we'll be reaching out to you with just what we're doing with this, the campaign, and we're going to wrap this up at a October meeting that we're going to share this campaign to the public at large and where we stand. So thank you for all you're doing for our students each and every day. Thank you for your leadership. It makes a difference. We believe as a business community where we're at and our community's at from an economic growth perspective, none of us can do this alone. We've got to work on our workforce, our career tech opportunities. Those things that the business community can help partner with you to provide opportunities for your students. That's the areas that we're looking to help plug in and find ways to do that. So again, thanks for all you're doing, and thank you for this time you've given us tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And just want to thank you and the greater business community for the support that they give our schools here in Madison County, but also the schools throughout the county at Huntsville City and Madison City. If somebody were to come, if I were to be approached, or if I were to approach somebody in the business community and talk about this, can they go? Is there a website? Is there some place that they can go to find this information out and to contact y'all?
There is. So there's two facets to that. One is creativecities.org. So our website is up and running. And we've also partnered with the Schools Foundation in this. So the Schools Foundation is a tremendous asset to our three systems at large. And so they are also partnering with us in this board certified campaign as well. So the funds that we're raising, if we have a donor that's willing to fund a teacher, and we hope one will come forward and say, we'll fund all 100 teachers. But all of those funds, again, about $2,000 a teacher, all of those funds go directly to funding the units for the National Board Certified Teachers. So we're putting all of those dollars directly into the Board Certified Teacher campaign. So yes, that information should be out there, and certainly can contact myself as well if they have questions for that. So the bigger we make the ask, the more we show people the value in Board Certified Teachers, I think the business community will continue to get on board.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Very
much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to informational items. Mr. Kerry Wilkerson.
Capital improvements. Sparkman High School, it should be opening in August of 2020. In 2 weeks, August of 2019, we will finish, and you'll see some pictures in a minute, the interior work and all the new sidewalks, and also the road, Fortune Chapel Road, in between the two schools. Well, we added a curb and gutter and some other stuff just to make it safer, because without the curb and gutter, at least that kind of a little bit curtails the traffic and how it controls it. So these pictures you see here, this is just pictures of, we closed down Fortune Chapel Road when it's not raining from 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 6:30 sometimes. And these are just pictures. And you can see we've added curb on this side. We're coming in and added curb on this side. We still have our fencing up. They'll have construction fencing up. And what this is for is we're cleaning up and making a third lane. We're putting all the utilities underground at that location. And so that's been, Phil Vandiver with the County Commission has been a big help. We've had some deputies come out and help us with the traffic stuff, but it's been a pretty large undertaking closing that road down, and it'll be closed. They're actually supposed to pave it, pending weather, Monday and Tuesday, and then they wait about 2 days, and they'll come back and restripe it. So that'll finish out all that work. This right here just shows you, that right there is the future core room, and that's actually going to be the safe area. That has restrooms in it, and it looks small when you see something on the floor plan until it comes up in the air, but it'll be much bigger. But that's where a safe room is. This right here, if you can tell from that, that is actually our orchestra pit for a drama. This right here is our new, around back, we're dropping off cars through this car loop. They come loop through here, and you can see we have a big concourse about 20 feet wide that goes all the way into the back door, and that's where our attendance office is. And so that's going to be a great improvement, getting cars unloaded faster and cleaner, quicker. This right here is what's going to be ready next week. So just some quick pictures. You can see the new tables, the graphics, really wonderful. This is looking towards the serving line, towards the serving area. This right here is looking at the stage area. You see we got different tables, high tops, low tops, a lot of signage. And this is more of that, that's basically more they're here. This is the new serving area we created. We call it the grab and go area, that's what it used to be, but it'll also have a hot bar in it, and it will increase our serving area by 50% of what we currently have at Sparkman High School. And it really is beautiful. I mean, it's got, standing inside looking back out towards the lunch area, it's got a glass wall, has entrances, and so in the past, kids actually came up, they actually took what they wanted and brought them the chips or whatever, cast them out, and they walked off. That's how long it took. Now kids will actually loop in this large area and loop out, and we'll have 2 lanes of the grab-and-go cashing out right here at the point of sales. So this will be, this spaces will be ready before school starts. The only thing we won't have in place is the Hot Wheel itself. The bid y'all are approving, I think, when is it? It's already out, isn't it, Janet? But, okay, then, there we go, approving tonight. But it'll take several weeks for it to come in. And this right here, if you've ever been in Sparkman High School, this is looking back towards the front door. Mr. Kazart had this, basically we have a very large airlock now. Those are secondary safety doors. We brought them back so everybody walks in. It's welcoming and it's warm. You got a place to sit down. You can wait for your child. It's just so much better. This has been a really great improvement, and it'll be key card access on the outside and on this side set of doors also. So it's a great security movement we put there at Sparkman. Athletic upgrade, and it'll be ready now. Everything's in place. We're just working some drainage issues and a few other things, just doing a punch list, but it'll be ready here in about 2 weeks. And this is some aerial views. This picture here, as you can tell, it's a beautiful stadium, beautiful track, everything we got. This currently is the baseball field. That's your field house. This is your soccer field, and we might mention too, if you'll notice all those trees are gone down here. They had 3 complaints. It was always wet, and they want the field a little bit longer. We took care of the first 2. We believe they had some leaks in some irrigation system, and we're working on that. But what we're looking at doing this year, we can only extend the field about 7 feet on one corner and 20 feet on the other corner. The way the property line, it's about a 20-foot drop-off back here, and you can't see it. So the addendum we approved for the Sparkman High School project, since we approved it a little bit late, it got held up, we don't have any material to put in that 20-foot hole. And we just sure don't want to pay for it, because what you see here, that's the old treatment plant. All of that is going in this big space down here. So that will be next summer. So we're going to come back in, we're going to fence this, we're going to hang a high net. They'll have the same thing they had last year, except it's going to be playable because it's not going to be wet. But we won't be able to extend it that 7 feet until next summer. That's just another aerial view. You can see that's where the new auditorium's going. When you drive Fortune Chapel Road here and you look down on that stadium, it's pretty impressive. It's really nice. This right here is just a picture of where we took the trees down on the soccer field on that far end. So Sparkman Middle School, we think we've pushed it up, and it should be opening in February 2020. If everything goes well, part of it has to do with the remodeling inside the school, because the old office area becomes corridors and stuff. So the conversion during the Thanksgiving break and the Christmas break will determine whether we hit February 2020 or whether it's May, and we have to go through spring break. But right now we think around the 1st of February we may be ready to turn that entire project over. This summer, though, this is a corridor. That's the lunchroom. This is a corridor, and that's going to be the outdoor classroom. In the past, all it did was stay wet and flood the library, but not anymore. We've got a drainage system in. This one was in between, that's the sixth grade classrooms, another, same thing. It always flooded, ran inside the metal building, and we just couldn't control it no matter what we did. So we concreted these areas, put in underground drainage. This is just another picture around back. I'll come back to that in a minute. This is your front addition we're doing, and they will be pouring that slab Monday, aren't they? Is today Thursday? Yeah. So they're pouring that slab Monday on the front. So they're coming along very well on the front, getting it cleaned up. And again, on the back, which is our main interest, this is just the back parking lot. We took that big dip out, big ditch out, so that's all gone. That's looking across the back. This is where the buses will eventually load and unload. Same here. We have a very long, when you come off of Jeff Road, that point there, that's about a 120-foot long, 8-foot sidewalk, and that's where we're going to load and unload buses in the back, and they'll just actually go right back over in the parking lot and park. So our buses will be separated from our cars as soon as this is finished, but there's a corridor, and this is the corridor right here. To go to be in the band at Spartan Middle School, you had to go outside every day because that's the band building. It's connected to the lunchroom, but the only entrance is from the outside. So this is a new corridor. And what it does, it also encloses both of the courtyards are now enclosed, so kids will stay inside all day, no access to them. They will have courtyards to use an outdoor classroom, and they're going to start framing this in about 2 weeks. But until that is done, this big space right here is that big, long sidewalk. So Ms. Quitt's doing a great job. We're going to unload buses on the side of the school for the first 2 months, and then hopefully by that time or 3 months, we'll get back around to loading them here. So we separated cars and our bus riders. And this right here is that big car loop, and I've showed y'all that a couple times. And they'll be paving all of that next week. This is, that used to be the old lagoon. It's just about filled in. And so it comes and it just goes all the way back up here to the road. So we're going to have a double stack. We'll have, for the first time, they'll have plenty of room to get all the cars off the road on campus. We'll have a stop bar here, and that's where they'll stop, and then they'll pull up to the building to unload and load. So much safer, separating the vehicles, a lot more stack area. And then also Central School Dining Room Edition is going to open November 1st. We're still shooting for fall break, but at this moment, it never rains in June and July, but it did this year, and it has rained a lot. And so it's just held us up a little bit. And there's a chart, I mean, it's a national average on how many wet weather days you get, but they get an additional 13 weather days just for those 2 months because it's been that wet. And it's done by gauge, and our engineers verify the numbers. This is outside. This is the back entrance. That's just a back look of what we're putting in. This is, I know this is exciting. This is the stainless steel hood for the kitchen. That's how far along they are. This is standing in the dining room looking out the front doors, and we're going to have a nice little playground out there, and it's all fenced and everything. And this is standing at the front of the school looking back in. This is actually your stage area. We got ramps on both sides. So you can see they've come along really nice with everything on the inside. So they're moving right along. Once again, just more pictures of, this is looking down the hallway. That's where you actually connect to the existing school. We have a classroom, offices, restrooms, and a few other things down this little hallway that connects. All kids will come in right here when they load and unload cars. They come right into the dining room, or they can go on to the classrooms. You can see here we're adding curb and gutter, but you can see how wet it is, and so they're going in next week. We're going to try to drop some more stone on the ground. We've got to get a way to get all of those. This is the only option we have for car riders at that school. So the first day of school, we're going to have something in place here to make sure they can load and unload cars. And it's wet. This is our car loop, part of it. That's where they come up from that long drive. They come in here and they make a car loop around and back out. But they're doing a great job out there. It's just been wet.
Did you Photoshop the original building there? I mean, it doesn't quite look like that in real life.
Au contraire. We've done some stuff onto it. I mean, it's the little things. We took some of the old fans and hoods off. We took some of the trim off. We've painted some of it, replaced some of it. And it does look like, it looks like a new building. It's a big difference. And it really is. And it's just the cleanup and repairs. So, yeah, you won't recognize it. When you're in this car rider line, it's a different school next year. Because you can see here, this is really nice. We have these towers. That's the second half of the loop. That's the back side of the kitchen. The brick's going up great. That's your entire car loop there, 2 nice towers, just kind of the same picture. This is just the back, just showing you what it looks like. But we have this green space in here. We're going to have some other green space. So we've added about 20 additional parking spaces. Going to be a great place to have all of your meetings inside the lunchroom now with a nice stage. And just more of them, just more work taking place. Always the exciting part, the wastewater treatment plant. It's one of those things. It's not pretty, but it sure is nice to have them. So there's our aerial. There's your pretty lagoon right now as it stands. Of course, that's where the treatment plant's going. And you can see they've just started this week. They're taking down the trees and starting to run the sewer lines. The lines will run up to this point here to a manhole. Everything's going to run down to the treatment plant, and then we're going to pump it right back up to the street, and it runs all the way to the Flint. And we know that's working. We've dropped dye in the lines to make sure we don't have any leaks, and just one thing or another. However, with them widening and doing some road work up there on Gurley Pike, we do believe they'll probably clip our line.
Ryland Pike.
Ryland, what did I say?
Gurley Pike.
Oh,
It's Ryland.
Ryland Pike, thank you. So we may have to do some relocation of some lines up there, but hopefully the county commissions told us they would help us get that done. But it's about a half-mile line, so it's pretty long to push all that water. Roof replacement, there's nothing to tell you here other than same picture I've showed for the last year. They're done. They're waiting on some grills to finish the dormers. That's all they're waiting on. So as soon as that's in place, we'll be finished with that roof at Newmarket School. And the good news is, Dan, I think you've already got the money, don't you? Dan?
We've got it appropriated. We haven't received it.
Appropriated. Can't even spell that. But yeah, anyway, that works well. So we have that coming. Newmarket School, the corridor and renovations, we're going to open it this August, about 3 weeks. So this is the front entrance. As you're looking out of the front door, looking down at this entrance, back standing in the parking lot, looking back towards the front entrance. Beautiful little space here where you can sit tables. You can sit right outside. It's just welcoming on the front end. The same thing here, but we've got all of this. They're going to start laying all the metal on top of it starting next Monday. So this should come together very fast. We've done a lot of work out front. In the past, if you had a bus in the front, you couldn't get a car by it. I mean, you were just stuck unless you turned around, if you could get around. So we added another lane. We've taken down some trees. Everything is in curb and gutter so we can control the water. You can see right here, that's the handicap ramp. As bad as it seems, if anybody came to that school and needed assistance, they had to go to the media center, go into the media center to get a lift to come inside that school. So we have a ramp, as you see, putting in there. And this is just once again, there's the front door, there's our riders. We've got this nice wall, and that's where also they'll hang their Blue Ribbon School awards and stuff right here on this wall. This is that's the front door. This is secondary doors that were put in, which has really been great because in the past, everybody could just walk right in. And we have, I'll come back to that. This is the back side. That's the outdoor classroom. This is where car riders will come in. Once again, we put in a handicap ramp. Just a beautiful view coming back up towards the handicap ramp, towards the car rider lines. All of this will be covered by a canopy. This job should be ready, just about done here in August, but it'll probably be 6 weeks before the canopy's put on. And that's just an item that just is not here yet. There's a parking lot we added. This is inside. This is the new corridor. There's your going outside, but your lunchroom sits right here. That's where your Schubert building sits. And you can see the floor is beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's ready to go just about. This is that security entrance. So now we have this cutout here, and it just makes it so much better. So everybody comes in has to come here first. They can't get into the school anymore. That's just looking out the front, coming in the main entrance, all the curb and gutter we added. And I know, once again, can't talk enough about it, but these are 2 really nice restrooms when we changed out they had the worst in the county, but not anymore. They're beautiful restrooms. Recommend going by there one day if you do.
They smell better.
Oh, and that is the truth.
You can't really get that effect on the picture.
No, you don't.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
They were right.
Glad to.
So Newmarket's coming along great also. I'm standing inside the outdoor classroom and looking up towards what's the car rider line. This is a great area now. It's always been an issue with drainage and stuff, and now this place really will be used a lot. And they'll have fans and stuff too. They can eat out there. They can do whatever they wish. Buckhorn High School culinary classroom. Wish I had something to show you other than the same pictures we had last time because nothing's changed. We have awarded the bids. We have received the submittals, passed them on to the engineers, reviewed submittals, everything's approved. Now it's a process of just getting them on site to get them started. We have the plumbing bid out, the equipment bid out, and all the hookup, freezer, cooler, sewer trap. The only thing we don't have out yet is our mechanical. And we're still trying to work that and trying to beat it down to get some better prices. But hopefully we will start working here in about 3 weeks, and it won't stop until November or December. And we're really shooting for second semester to have it open. That's our goal. Monrovia Elementary School. This seems to be a popular location here lately. Things are going really well. Joe's doing a great job every day, twice a day. Joe looks at that. He'll look at it tonight on the way home, I assure you.
So will I.
Give them the
So will I.
updates. Joe, can you give him, does Kerry have all the updates from today?
From today, I don't think so, but as of today, they had 6 more dumpsters go out. The rest of the demolition is down. The purchase order has been given to the metal, so we can get the metal guy to come back in and finish it out. Our goal is to have the site clean, so when any passerby, parent, you don't see any of the debris. I've got another contractor moving in over the weekend to take all the block out of there and get it out, the demolition block. And then Monday, I've got a fence company coming in to replace this fence around, because that will be a future outdoor playground, outdoor learning area. So the fence will secure that area. And then as you're coming down the car rider line, that little ugly fence on the left by the football field, that is being replaced as well. I've got the county helping us with that, doing some mowing in that area. So I'd say by Wednesday of next week, that site, not the metal won't be finished, but the site itself will look much better, 100% improved.
Is that picture on the top right, is that from today?
No,
That was a couple days ago.
Okay.
What you actually see, and I'll come over, you can see blue pile, trash pile. So every dumpster has a different, because we're recycling, or they are, recycling some of the metals, different steel. So as all that comes into the different dumpsters. You can see how much of the slab's cleaned here, kind of the same here a little bit. Those are the doors we're actually keeping. That's the way you'll enter the outdoor classroom or enter the school. And you can see we've got some work, and Joe talked about that he has another contractor, a metal company coming in, who's going to wrap this in and clean this up and make all the repairs to it.
I didn't drive by it. I didn't drive by it today because there was an accident on that road this morning when I was going to work. But that looks a whole lot better.
Yeah,
oh, it looks much better.
It looks a whole lot better.
they're actually making, they're making a lot of yardage now. But see, there's our slab again. See how open we are here? The picture I showed y'all a month ago, you couldn't even see that. There's those exterior doors. That's what Joe's talking about. He's got to cover up with the metal and stuff. It's just getting that building has two roofs on it, so it's getting the bottom roof airtight or watertight again, and then putting the top roof metal on it again. So you can see there's a lot of improvements made here, and that's looking back in. That's the block of stuff. I think he got another contractor to start moving that, and it's just a lot of stuff. But we've got a lot of slab area. There's the doors again, and you can see we've got a little bit of masonry work to do, and there's a few things still left to do. But before the kids come, before they come, this will be safe. It'll be closed off. It'll be cleaned. New fencing, like Joe said, is going up on the whole place. It's going to be really nice. This is right here, this picture, bottom left, is when you stand in the school and you look up, it's a ramp that goes up to those doors, and there's just some little storage rooms and service areas. But that is the area that you might see a little bit right here. That's that you're sticking out. So it's not around any kids, nothing there. And Joe's even mentioned hanging a wall here, just because we don't need it. Until we get that outdoor classroom ready, we don't need it. And we might not even start on that outdoor classroom until fall break. Just get it all cleaned up, let it sit there, and let it go.
So after the demolition, what did you determine had caused that to sink? You know,
Good question.
12 years on the board, I just need to know what caused it to sink.
There'll be another picture.
Like Al Capone's vault.
Right now, my goal is to make that look better, and then we'll get back into the slab.
Oh, okay.
We haven't lifted
You
that piece yet.
Really haven't gotten to that yet, okay.
That'll probably be in October. That's what we're talking about, maybe the October fall break.
Tell me, right?
Yeah, we don't want to open something up and be afraid we have a whole issue that
Right.
we can't put back in place. And this way it's safe, it's clean. But yeah, Joe, I know Joe's excited about that. But yeah, actually, if you look right here, it's hard to tell, but that's the depression, and that's concrete. What's funny is it's holding water, but underneath it, there's at least a 6 foot, 8 foot void. but it's holding water, and it's depressed anywhere from about 4 inches in the center, of course, back to 0 at the edge. So we, engineers are just excited we are to open it up, but that'll probably be in about a month and a half, about 6 weeks. New Hope Elementary roof replacement repairs. Basically, there was 2 parts to New Hope's building. This was all the K-wing and special needs, and all that's been completed. You can see it looks really nice. This was all metal that we didn't touch. That was the lunchroom area. And so on this end of the building, where your middle school used to be, that's where we're working, and it will be finished in about, if it only rains one day next week, they'll probably have it close to finished a week from Monday. They might have a little bit of coping or a little bit of flashing or something to add to it, but that's going to be the majority of it. So it's dry. That's the main thing. Classroom addition, we just had the kickoff meetings. We've had 2 of them. So the only thing we have to show you really is football fields here on the left. This is just their laydown yard. They haven't put up any fencing. All that fencing is going up next Wednesday and Thursday on this project, and they're going to fence off the construction site. You can see this is their laydown yard. As the school sits here, they went ahead and took all the topsoil off. That's where the tennis courts will sit in the future, and it's already been rolled with a drum roller. And so it's compacted, so it's ready to go. Hopefully, we'll have it tested right before they come in, though. And but that's basically all they're doing, just a little bit of site work. They'll hang fences before the kids get there. And this, once again, is just some safety improvements, but we're doing stuff all the time. And so I just want to show you a couple quick pictures. Got to love that. This is where, in all the elementary schools, where we added those entrances. This is when you stand in the vestibule area looking back towards the front door. That's actually the front door in there. And that's looking towards it. Joe did a great job. Everywhere we go, we've actually moved whoever that person is that checks students in and out and parents in and out. So right here, this is actually at Riverton Elementary. So we cut it in the wall. We give them a place to cut in. So now parents get stopped right here. This is where they used to come all the way in here and have free reign to everywhere they went. But now we put in this wall, this nice arch. They check in right here. And this is at Riverton Elementary School. That's Hazel Green High School. They're about finished with that, Joe. So it should be ready by the 1st, but we're just keep on drumming. And Mark Wilson's been a great help getting all of our key cards and all of our data and all the security and the cameras and all that stuff in. So we're working on one or another school almost every day on some type of security improvement. Also, and Dan's had the summer, he's been out of control a little bit, replacing floors. This gives you an idea of what a lot of our libraries or media centers look like, and that's not a bad media center. And this is what they look like now. This right here is a picture of Monrovia Middle. But Dan went in and did 5 this summer so far. I think 5 and 2 more here right before school starts, hopefully. This is Riverton Elementary right here. You see how beautiful that is. This is Buckhorn High School. The nice thing about these floors, it's just way libraries and media centers are today. They have snacks, they have food. Doesn't matter anymore. These floors just require mopping and nothing else. And that's the update.
Well, hang out right there as we go to item B, capital plan initial discussion. We'll make sure we're clear.
Emphasis
with that part
on
of it.
initial.
This is
No
the
blood
initial
bonds, no.
first discussion of the capital plan. Capital plan is due September 20th to the state, so we have to have this approved, ready to go by the 20th of September. So
All
great.
right. Here we go. Everything in blue and green is y'all approved last year that's already in progress. Everything in green is what we have completed. So item 1s, 3, and 5 are completed. The blue, of course, is stuff still under construction at some degree. It's not closed out yet. So these are all the projects we currently have under contract and in progress, 1 through 15. And I got to say, 15 by far is the largest number we've ever had taking place at any time by far. So it's a lot of, y'all got a lot of good work going on.
Most we've had funded ever, I think.
It kind of follows the funding. It's the most funding ever. It's the most projects. So it's all going well. That's where we are on the first 15. So looking at 16 first, Lynn Fanning School came in over budget last time, and I'll wait on you, the board, to decide when you want to bid it again and put it out for bid.
What was your recommendation on bidding? When you think we should rebid that?
I think we may even try the end of September. We have
Looking at an old one?
us ourselves have several projects rolling off, And so to catch the contractors, I know we can catch two of our contractors, the Central Dining Room and the Newmarket contractor. Prices are still, they're up and they're down both. They're still pretty high, but, you know, we can try and see what we can get. It's about a 9-month project, so even if we bid it in September, we should still have it next August.
Okay.
But if that's the direction you want to go, we can, because it takes about 6 weeks to get it out for bid.
Okay.
So, then, of course, Madison County School, always a top priority. Safety improvements, $500,000 budget. And it's just more entryways, more exterior doors, more cameras. Whatever we recognize needs to be done, anything left on the list from last year that's not completed will come right in here. The next item is Central School, and that's actually a maintenance item. So as soon as we move them over to that new dining room, we'll take the old lunchroom, and it has 5 classrooms in it. We'll go ahead and build out 4 of them. The 5th one, it takes about a year and a half to build out the 5th one because it's the old kitchen area, because you got to replace the floor, seating, and a whole bunch of stuff. But the first 4, if we get it around November the 1st, should be by spring break, there's a good chance those 4 classrooms will be finished. So they'll be able to move into those 4 classrooms at Central School. So here we are at number 19, connect the sewer system. That's a priority. We have to do that if we do the Lynn Fanning Dining Edition. So that'll just fall in as part of that program. Number 20 is auditoriums at the remaining high schools. Looking at $30 million there.
So, Carrie, would it be best just to move up number 19 below 16, just because it's kind of a required thing with the Lynn Fanning?
Yeah, I mean, it really should be together, yeah, because we can't do one without the other. I mean, we have to do it, so I'll do that. I'll move it up to, I'll move it up to 15.
Okay.
Does number 19 have to be done prior to number 16 even starting, or can you do them concurrently?
We can do them concurrently. Yeah, we can do them concurrently, to answer your question, yes, sir.
Well, isn't 20 just a pie in the sky type thing?
Number 20? Yes, ma'am.
Good answer.
So Ms. Rucker brought up, I think in the last meeting, that under number 20, there are several large maintenance items that could cause potential damage in the future, roofs, gutters, that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I would love for us to have an auditorium, but I would also like for us to have a roof that doesn't leak on our children's heads during school. As much as I appreciate number 20, do we need to rearrange that a little bit where we bring some of those roofs and other maintenance items that could become problematic in the future? We don't have any problems with what we don't have.
Right, I understand you.
Before we create some new things to maintain, I don't disagree that we may want to move up some of those roofs and other items that will not get any better without attention.
Yes, ma'am. I can do so. I can take the next 10 to 15 items for sure.
Are some of these part of the plan of just your day-to-day maintenance budget, taking care of those items like roofing, or this is outside of that scope? This is what we'll have to address that we won't have funding for at some point?
Great question. Well, that's what, as you notice, this column, of course, maintenance.
Right.
Here, this one, for instance, seal and pave parking lot and drives, $450,000. We have it as a maintenance item because we touch it a little bit at a time. We're going to be in a situation in the next couple of years, though, eventually, if you go to Meridianville School, if you go to some other areas, we need to get it properly done, and we need to do the whole parking lot, do an overlay. And it's listed as maintenance just because we're hoping to do a little bit at a time here and there as we need it, but it could be, that could be in the next 4 or 5 years, your really next big issue.
Do you have a listing of those big projects that we need to address within the next 5 years, separate of the capital plan, but just kind of in order of importance? Like, these are the ones we need to hit now. I know they're organized here, but kind of separate of that.
Yeah, you're right. They're organized here, but then also, like in the case of number 25, I actually have a sub-list per se. It says Madison County High's first, Meridianville second, and then it kind of gives a detail of which ones are the worst that need to be addressed.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to see them separately. I know we got to approve a capital plan, but I think it'd be good to see that stuff separately so we can start figuring out how we can budgetarily tackle all these things and kind of come up with a game plan as to. I agree with Angie, Ms. Bates, that we can't necessarily do an auditorium if we have roofs that are leaking, but I think it'd be better just to have a separate list so we can look at those critical items and start putting together something figured out.
Okay, yeah, I'll gladly do that, because that's where, just using that example, 25 and 27, you see the 450 and the 3 million, because those almost can't wait, where this can wait 4 years or 3 years.
Going to 25 and 27, I got a question. We just increased the parking fees at the high school, all of the high schools. So how much of those fees factor into these? I mean,
Not at all. The fees that they get, the fees would be enough at best to even seal coat one, which doesn't do much, that's just seal coating, or really just to stripe them and number them.
So it's more for just striping the parking lots, keeping it, okay.
Yeah, it's just keeping the parking lot at best it can, yeah. It doesn't do any repairs or any large work on it.
Well, Madison County High School's parking lot, it's very difficult to stripe it, I would think, because that gravel does move, yeah.
It shifts.
And I couldn't park straight, and my husband was talking to some woman about how I couldn't park right, so, we need this fixed.
Okay. We need it. For marriage therapy, we can work on those parking lots. Yeah, absolutely, and and we had gotten a price one time, and it's $160,000 just for the rear parking lot at Madison County High School. That's just the rear. And that's not a huge parking lot. But like I say, they are the worst. So I will do that. I'll break those down, and I'll detail them by school, by value, and we'll go from there. Some things the real kind of big things that jump out at you a little bit is we do need to get on Riverton's. We're getting pretty good damage on Riverton Intermediate School. Water runs down the wall, it comes inside the brick. It takes water 7 seconds to go inside a brick. So it goes inside the brick, comes down, hits the windowsill, and has a tendency, even if it's not what you consider an active leak in the building, it can cause humidity problems, getting moisture inside the building. So that's the reason they're so high up, even though it seems like gutters and downspouts and coping's not that important. It's important when you're going to get water in the building. Riverton Elementary School, that shingled roof there, the life should have been about 5 more years on it, but this year, I believe Joe's had contractors work on it twice, or 3. Yeah, Joe had contractors work on it twice this year because it started failing. So that's the reason it moved. It wasn't even on the list, but that's the reason it's moved way up to being a priority. Of course, you'll see Madison County High School's cooling tower was put on that list because it's having failing issues that we can't. We're real good sometimes at making the repairs, but then we get to a point when all of a sudden the repairs don't seem to work anymore, and then they move way up the list. But I'll be glad to do more maintenance preventive items, replacements, and extend it and divide it out by school. So the rest of the list, basically, for the most part, you've seen most of it. The bigger items, you get down, here's where you might notice some differences. Looking at the value, we're in today's value. So if you see an item that says 2024, 5 years from now, well, let's take that one for instance. Equipment sheds are back up where I say 400,000. And 5 years from now, that's a good chance that's 600,000. So this is today's value. And so to keep that in mind, and I can put it into the year's value that we predict there if we want to do it that way, and that's really up to you.
Either way, it's unfunded.
Yeah, it's still unfunded. Yeah.
Point that out.
So you can see we have $130 million, and then when we get into some athletics, tennis courts, which were funded here, I haven't changed that out yet because we just did the POs, but we'll change that out now that we've done so.
That's going to be my question. That was going to be my question.
Oh, was that? Yeah. Yeah, I should have changed it, but it's not that value, so I'm going to, as soon as I put it in funded, since we wrote the POs, or Joe got them written, and Jeanette. But you can see when we come down to the bottom, our total is $163 million. If we had $163 million today, we could spend it, and we still wouldn't be just in great shape, but we would have things done that need to be done.
Well, right here, I think a little shout out, it goes to our parents, the booster clubs and the band booster parents, and that's who has been actively keeping athletics and band and choir, and I'm sure I'm leaving something out, and I apologize if I am, but it's been done on the backs of our communities, and I'm thankful for them because they've done a great job at keeping all those things up and running for our students to have that opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Is there any other questions necessarily? I know this is just the first look at it. I'll break all that down and get it resubmitted for the 24th board meeting.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that 20 needs to be moved, and the things that are really, really needed, not that we don't need those, we do need them, but, it's probably a want and not a need.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I'll take care of that. Mr. Superintendent?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson.
All right, item C, Aurora, can we bring up the org chart, please? All right, again, this is an item for discussion tonight, just give some information. First thing I want to bring in, with this particular change to the org chart, with the departure of Mr. Wilkerson and the departure in the near future, and the departure of Troy Blackwell, we're looking to kind of reorganize the System Services Department due to the personnel. So this org chart, one, it reduces our overall costs, so we'll be spending less, and it will reduce the number of personnel that we have by one. So with that being said, the other thing I do want to state is, looking at our overall budget, our administrative costs for central office is 2.5% of our budget. The average for our state, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. O'Bannon, is between 5% and 6% is what most of the school systems in our state use for administrative costs, and we're at 2.5%. So proud of what this group's able to do, being a very lean group. So with this, the changes we have is to rename the Chief Operations Officer and Assistant Superintendent of System Services, and in a few minutes we'll talk a little bit about that job description. That person's main role will be overseeing that particular department with 3 main areas and 3 directors. So we're looking at the Director of Auxiliary Services, Director of Information Technology, and the Director of Operations, which is a new position, which I'm going to ask for your approval for that job description later this evening. So with that particular organization, those individuals will be overseeing the following. So Director of Auxiliary Services, one of the areas that Mr. Evans will be picking up moving forward is safety. I know one of the things the board has mentioned, Carrie, for the most part, has been covering building safety type thing, and I have been taking care of the actual safety plan and those type of pieces. Mr. Evans is going to assist with both of those, helping with the building and helping with the safety plan, working with schools with their drills, helping with the school resource officer. He already does swipe badges, swipe doors, so that's kind of the pieces that he'll be picking up and assisting with. The other things he does is furniture, textbooks, and things that deal with the warehouse. So he'll continue to supervise and oversee the supervisor of the warehouse and the warehouse department. If we move over to the right with the Director of Information Technology, Mark has his org chart, and that will remain the same with that particular group. And Director of Operations was a new position. This person will be that person who will be take over those building things, the building projects. They'll be supervising building projects, the maintenance projects. So with that job, we have CMP maintenance, and that position is paid through our CMP funds. And Terry Campbell does a phenomenal job of going around our system, making sure that the ovens and everything else within a kitchen is up and running. When it breaks down or there's issues, he's on it immediately and getting it taken care of, again, only so we can take care of our children. The other individual they'll be supervising, which is a little bit different, is we're going to be combining the operations and maintenance department supervisors. So that will be one position. That person will be supervising our foremen, our plumbers, our electricians, our carpenters. In addition, one of the changes we're making is, and we're doing this with our bus drivers as well, our building principals are the direct supervisors for our bus drivers moving forward. Our building principals are the direct supervisors for our plant managers and for our custodians. They're in their building, so it just makes it an easy transition And that's what most of our principals do now. They are the direct supervisors. This supervisor of operations, in addition to overseeing those foremen, will also be a liaison for our plant managers and for our actual custodians, where the warehouse, part of their piece will be supporting custodial supplies. So when supplies come in that need to be taken out to the schools, now we have our supervisor of custodian position, which is going to be kind of absorbed partially with operations and partially with the warehouse. They'll actually take those supplies and get those out to the custodians at the schools and take care of it. And then we also have our supervisor of transportation. And as I mentioned a minute ago, one of the things we're going to be taking off the supervisor of transportation, right now, they're set up to be the supervisor for all 250 some odd bus drivers. We feel it's a better opportunity and easier communication to do that at the local schools. I've talked to several of the principals. They thought this was a great idea, taking over. So they'll be the direct supervisor for our bus drivers moving forward. So a driver needs to have a day off or has an issue with a route, they'll check with their principal. A lot of times our principals delegate that to an assistant principal. It's kind of the buses and books type things for an assistant principals. With the transportation, so the main purpose of a transportation department will be providing buses. We'll make sure those buses are inspected, are running well. They're going to assist with providing routes to our schools, and they're still going to take care of the payroll for our bus drivers. So that's not going to, that piece of it won't change. So that's that piece. The Director of Personnel will continue reporting to the Deputy Superintendent. Director of Public Relations will continue reporting to the Deputy Superintendent, as well as the Director of Equity and Innovation. And then on the left-hand side, we have the Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Academic Accountability, and his department will remain the same. So what questions do you have?
You know, I'm ashamed to say this is, such a fluid document. I couldn't find my old one, but has the Supervisor of Student Services always been under
Yes, ma'am.
Equity and
Yes.
Innovation?
Yes. When we developed the Director of Equity and Innovation, we
Okay.
placed the Supervisor of Student Services under him. Other questions? While we're talking about this, we're going to hop down to item D, which is the Assistant Superintendent of System Services. Job description? Thank you, Aurora, for getting that up for us. So, B&I test. One of the questions that was brought up was, what are we looking for this position? My first initial impression is the majority of the individuals working in our Operations System Services department, now Dan Evans and Mark Wilson are exceptions because they actually have been in schools before. But typically, they don't necessarily have that background working in schools. So we were looking to, ultimately, if we can, find a school person for the assistant superintendent who has experience leading a school, whether it's a principal, whether it's somebody at a central office who's been a principal or an assistant principal. That's kind of the role. I know one of the questions that came up, well, what if the best person for that job is not a certified teacher? And I checked with our personnel department, and they can be hired in this position. Doesn't have to actually have a teaching certification, and they can still be paid on that assistant superintendent of system services job. So ultimately, we're going to find the best person that we can for this position. I'm not going to read to everyone, but we go down to the job description, the essential functions, looking at what Carrie was just doing, presenting a capital plan to the board, leading those particular departments that we talked about a little bit earlier, developing them, evaluating those departments. Part of that piece, I think, is making sure that all of those departments are as efficient as possible, and making sure that the process and procedures we're doing, are they as efficient as possible? And to me, that's one of the responsibilities as we move forward with this. And then we get down to qualification. So we're feeling that an assistant superintendent needs to have a 4-year degree. And we don't necessarily have it in education. We do have the other qualifications as a minimum of 5 years of administration, supervisor experience in construction or public education. So looking at both realms. And then we also have the preferred qualifications down below. So what questions, comments do y'all have about the job description?
I sent you a note, you probably didn't get it.
Yes, ma'am, I did, and I made that change. Number 4, assistant school administrators. I tried to clarify that with those 3 departments that they would actually oversee. So assist school and evaluate, or excuse me, assist administrators with issues associated. So if there's issues with IT operations, auxiliary service, this person will be able to help with that.
Not on our scrolling agenda. because
No, ma'am, I'm sorry that.
The way it was written, it sounded like they were going to help the administrators with whatever.
Right. No, that's it. It's on your screen now if you look on the big screen.
All right. Like I could see that.
There's one over there.
Four-year degree in
Right.
related field.
Okay, that's good.
Number 4.
Yes.
When you say a minimum of a four-year degree in a related field, I mean, the description is to perform a variety of supervisory, to include operations, transportation. So, I mean, any one of those types of fields.
Correct.
Okay.
Again, if we have an assistant superintendent coming from another system who is highly qualified, who has a degree in project management or something, it kind of opens it up. I think sometimes we get our qualifications so tight that we eliminate a lot of really, really good candidates, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we have plenty of opportunities to hire the best person for this position. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to administrative items. Letter A, I recommend approval of the financial statements, payment of bills, and cash reports for June 2019.
Motion. Second.
Jinx.
Whatever.
We have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval of the financial statement, payment of bills, and cash reports for June 2019. Any discussion? Karen always does a great job of giving us accurate, great information, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
There's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Item B, I recommend approval of the following bids as attached.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval of the following bids as attached. Any discussion? This is that Sparkman High serving line equipment and fixtures that you were just asking about earlier? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? No additional discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Item C, I recommend the approval of the following job description, Director of Operations.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation and the approval of the, and I don't have that one for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's page,
It's not in my agenda here. Which one is it? The recommendation of approval of Director of Operations job description. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 And Ken, can we get that posted tomorrow, please? Thank you. Item D, I recommend the revision to the lead driver supplement and activity rate page on page 13 of the Madison County Board of Education 2019-2020 salary schedule.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of for the revision to the lead driver supplement and activity trip rate on page 13 of the Madison County Board of Education 2019-2020 salary schedule. That was a mouthful. Any discussion?
I want to talk to Mark about this. It just seems like, I know Matt had a plan to have area lead bus drivers, and that didn't work out. And then, now you're wanting to give your lead driver at your individual schools $90
Correct.
a month. And that's really according to what I'm being told, that's not a whole lot of money for what they're expected to do. I know that you're saying that the principal now is going to oversee part of
Yes, ma'am.
all of that, but I think the principals really, at least in my district, I think they rely heavily on that lead bus driver.
Absolutely.
If somebody doesn't show up, they've got a sick child, they can't drive, it's that lead bus driver that has to find some way to rearrange students, get us, and I think they don't have a lot of sub-drivers. So it's a problem. Then they have to plan for the field trips and all that. So it's really a huge responsibility.
Yes, ma'am. We originally, if I remember correctly, Ken, it was $84 is about what the pay was per month for our lead drivers before. We looked at the 4% raise, which takes it to about $87. To get this back on the agenda and get us running for this year, we moved it up to $90. And if the board would like to add to that, we are more than happy to provide that. I've already talked to Karen, so we have the funding available. If the board would like to move that up to $100, $110.
Well, I had no idea they did all that.
They do. Our lead drivers do a lot. They really do. The administrators kind of rely on
And then they have to
that.
send in the reports.
Yes, ma'am.
How much oil, how much gas, how many miles. So I had no idea. So I have a new appreciation for the lead bus drivers.
They do, and we've looked at some things and one of the things that we have talked to some of the lead drivers about is to kind of take this year to kind of look at what we are. I know some of our systems in the area, they tier theirs, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, based on the amount of extra activities that they have for their drivers. So we'd be more than happy to take this year to look at that. My concern was getting something on the salary schedule so that we could get our lead driver back from an area lead driver, which was a good idea, but we just haven't found a way to actually make that work.
I don't think that person could even drive if they were the lead bus driver for the
that.
whole area.
I don't disagree. After we got into that, that was kind of the
The expectations of the lead bus driver are pretty much the same across the board at every school. The same things
See,
you
that I
mentioned.
don't know. That I don't.
I'm going to defer to Mr. McCord.
Paperwork, I mean, the big problem is, you got some of our schools got 20 buses. You got some schools that got 3.
Right.
So that's where, more buses,
More work,
activities, more work.
right. So is it possibly that we can maybe scale it based on the, I don't, just.
We could absolutely do that. I mean, if the board would be willing to approve what we have tonight, just to kind of get us started, and we can look and come back to you guys with a proposal for a scaled lead
Well, and
driver.
The principals can help with this,
Yeah.
like I said,
Absolutely.
I was totally unaware that
Absolutely.
lead bus driver did everything.
Certainly worth
Sure.
Yeah.
another discussion,
Sure, absolutely.
revisit.
Said if we can get this, at least we can get the salary schedule paid so we can have lead drivers at our school tonight, and then we can kind of, we can move forward.
What are you saying?
In the next couple of weeks, is kind of coming back with a proposal for a tiered
I think that's fine.
pay scale for that.
Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Item E, I recommend approval of the following personnel items and addendum as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval for the following personnel items and addendum as submitted. Any discussion? Just want to make sure that. If there's no further discussion or any discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Item F, I recommend approval for the following supplemental contracts as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of approval of the following supplemental contracts for services as submitted. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Item G, I recommend approval of the following contracts for services.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation for approval of the contracts for services. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
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 I'm going to take the liberty to thank Miss Alita Stender, who has her contract, so she's stuck being hanging out with us for another year, and we appreciate what you do for our school system, so thank you very much.
Okay, we have some other business. Nominations for the Board of Equalization. Those names are due to the county commission? To the state by the 15th of August. Now, we have one name that was submitted. We need two more names theoretically, I guess. I had one individual that I thought was considering it for the position, and she chose to not accept the nomination from us. So we're still down to two names that we need. I don't know if anybody else has had a chance to.
Contacted two people today. I have not heard back from them yet.
And we have until the 15th, so we have another meeting. We're going to discuss that in a second, but we have another meeting next Thursday, and we have another meeting the following Thursday. So we've got two more meetings between now and then to get these names in. So I'll make some additional inquiries. If you do find somebody that's interested in the position, I found out, thank you, Cynthia, that they can go to the Alabama Code 40-3-2, and that pretty much specifies what the roles and responsibilities are. However, I got some additional information tonight, and they probably need to contact us and discuss it a little bit more. But that is the Alabama code that covers the Board of Equalization. So, all right. Future board meeting dates.
Future board meeting dates. We are looking, with school getting started, we're requesting to have a board meeting on August 1st. Now, again, that could be a personnel item only meeting, and then we're also requesting one for August 8th, so that if we have any late hires that we need to get accomplished. Ken, where are we right now with hiring? If you can give us a 43 to go.
Ooh.
So it will be.
That's across the board, teachers, administrators.
certified, one admin, and the rest are also support.
So we want to make sure we can get those individuals officially hired and get them into the classrooms.
You want to do that in the morning on August 1st?
Well, I was going to get to that in a second. We were looking at a morning meeting. However, and I'm going to segue into something else here as well. This is part of the meeting days. Can we do that? Can I do that?
Yes.
So we've had a discussion about bringing in an independent organization to come in and help us with our superintendent search. I have had significant interest in that position this week. Phone calls, emails, you name it, I've had it. So that's good for us because it means that we're doing something right in Madison County Schools, that people are interested in coming here to assume the leadership position here at Madison County Schools. So that's great news. The concern I have, however, is whether or not we are capable of handling the kind of load of resumes and applications that are possibly coming in. So I went ahead and contacted the AASB, which is an independent agency, and they can come in and help us. They play a role in helping school boards search for superintendents like we are doing. They are willing to come up here and to do a 1 hour, 1.5 hour whole board training, so that's good because then we can knock out some of our required training for the year next Thursday afternoon. And they're also willing to help us in our search. They will amend the posting for the applications. There were some concerns about things that we didn't put into the posting, particularly about the fact that it is an elected position. So the person that takes the job will have to launch a campaign and run unless we can get that changed through the legislature, and hopefully that can happen between now and November of 2022. And then there were some things that we missed in there about the flexibility in paying for moving expenses and the salary. So those are some things that they will adjust that. They will screen all of the applicants, and they will do all of the background checks and vet the applicants for us, something that would be very time-consuming for us individually and as well as for the system to do. It says they will deliver up to 5 finalists, and when I talked with the POC down at AASB, they pretty much said that we can set the parameters a little bit, and that's good. But 5 is what they normally go with. But if we want to get more and have more, ask for additional finalists, they're willing to work with us on that. They'll provide the board with an interview question bank and rubrics to use, so when we have our interviews, we know the right questions to ask and the best questions to ask. And then they'll meet within 100 days with the new superintendent to facilitate sessions with the board and the new superintendent to kind of get things going. They normally charge about $6,000 for even that minor of help, but I was able to get them down to about $3,500, and then the $6,000 is the lowest they normally do. So I got them down to below their lowest. And I think that it's really important that we show the community, that we show our stakeholders that we are taking this responsibility very seriously. I don't think there's any question that the last time we had this opportunity, it didn't go well for the board, and it didn't go well for the system. So this is, I think, a golden opportunity for us to prove not just to our constituents that we know and we have a plan in place, but I also think it's an opportunity to show our legislatures and our legislative delegation here in Madison County that the right thing to do is to move from an elected to an appointed superintendent, and I think this is an opportunity. So I'd like to just open it up again for a discussion one more time before I ask for a motion and a second to assume this. I think it's a great opportunity. It will certainly take a lot of the responsibility that would fall upon us as board members to do a lot of the ground and the legwork that would be required for us. And like I said, based on the significant interest that I'm getting, it's looking like there are a lot of people that are interested in coming here to Madison County potentially. So I'll open it up to the floor for discussion.
I think that using AASB for their organizational skill set and perhaps some of their questions, as long as we make it very clear to the community that we're in no way shunning our responsibility in making sure that their voice is heard in this process.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing. I don't want that perception to ever get out there that we let somebody else pick our candidate. I think we need to make it very clear that who takes care of us is important to us because we are representing a group of stakeholders who work very hard to keep Madison County schools good. That doesn't happen. As much as I appreciate our teachers and our faculty and our support staff and all of our administrative people, that doesn't happen without the parents of our students and the business leaders and the other people in our communities that perhaps don't have children in the school system but pay tax dollars and get involved in keeping the system running well. And I want to make sure they know we took this on and their voice will be heard regardless of what outside people we use to help us organize that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they offered the opportunity to do a survey, and we can add that back in. I can discuss it with the POC if we want to add that back in to do an online survey that we can put on the website that parents and stakeholders can go to and do a survey so that they have a say in that process. And I'll be more than happy to contact her tomorrow and ask that question.
I think their unbiased vetting is helpful in some ways as well, but I do like the idea of being able to set up a few parameters perhaps as we move forward to make sure that some of the things that we find important in our values are also represented in that vetting system.
Yeah, we'll have a voice. In talking with her yesterday, we will have a distinct voice in this process. We will communicate on a regular basis with them. They will let us know, where they are in the process, and I think that they're more than willing to let us have as much of a voice as we want to have as a board for our community.
And when does she come in? The 8th?
She would come up on the 1st. So if we decide to do this.
It's personnel only, and
Well, it's up to all you.
That's not me,
Good to
I'll
be
change
true.
that.
It's up. I can contact her tomorrow, and I can move the work session. Go ahead.
I will say that, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but as much as I don't want to spend every day, all day with y'all, it's easier for me to carve out a little space in the morning and a little space in the afternoon than an entire board meeting and an hour-and-a-half session for her in the afternoon. That makes for a very long evening. But if it's only a personnel meeting and they need that in order to be able to get all these people August 1st up and running,
Sure.
I don't mind coming in the morning, doing that, and coming back in the evening and splitting it up a little bit. I don't
we can
know
do
how
that.
that works for other people, but for me, that's a little,
Is that Is that doable?
And I don't know, I hate to say that without Ms. Rucker here. I know she lives a little farther away, I think that.
She works, I think, pretty,
Yeah.
yeah.
So her being able to do that, I don't want to not get her opinion, but
So you'd want to come in and do a real quick meeting in the morning for personnel at like
Yeah,
7,
I don't
7:30?
mind.
And then
7?
Well, I don't know.
Crazy.
8?
Say I wanted to.
6:30?
No, I can do 7, but it is easier for me, do a little in the
Yeah.
morning and a little afternoon as opposed to 5 hours in the evening.
Yeah, that's fine.
As
We,
part of that personnel agenda, may I have permission to have look for the approval of the Assistant Superintendent of System Services and the org chart so that we can get moving with posting that position and doing that? Or is that something you would like to wait for the 8th? Because we have to post things it takes 14 days for a new
So you
position to
would
run.
need the work chart and the job description approved this evening?
No.
Next
At-
Monday.
At the Monday,
Next
at the
Thursday.
Monday.
Okay. I thought you meant
morning-
tonight. I was like.
The Monday morning
Yeah.
meeting as well as the
Just
personnel
add
agenda.
it to the personnel.
just add it to the personnel meeting.
I don't think that falls outside of the jurisdiction.
It doesn't, it's a personnel action.
I think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. So we could do is we could come in and do that in the morning, which should take all of 30 minutes or so, and then we could come back, I could have her back here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30. She's willing to come up here late if she has to spend the night or drive home late. She said she's willing to do that for
Stay
me.
at my house if we can stop.
But if we're willing to do that, we'll set the morning meeting for personnel only, and then I will contact her tomorrow and find out what time she can be here, but
It would
I would,
also be nice just to be able to focus on one thing.
one thing.
Especially that thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a very large undertaking, and I don't want to get caught up in personnel and then have to try to refocus after a day of work
Sure.
on that, because I want to be able to put my full attention on that.
So are we coming at 7?
I'm
I'm
good,
here,
I'm good for
so I'm
7. That's a-
I prefer 7.
I've already walked and everything. It's-
Angie, you can go work out and then come back.
I will be here. I'm not going to look like this at 7.
We'll have coffee.
I was going to say, I'll have coffee.
We'll have coffee and
This
donuts.
takes a minute.
This takes some-
I'll send that invitation out.
So we'll plan on 7 next Thursday morning for the personnel actions, and then we'll plan for 4:30. I think does that work for you? Because I know you're kind of the,
Yeah, I probably can get here close to 4:30.
okay. 5? Would 5 be better?
Easier.
We'll do 5. So we'll do 7 o'clock and 5 p.m., and I'll let her know that she's going
I
to come
think
in.
Sherry drives from Decatur.
Yeah, so it's probably easier for her to get here by 5.
And too.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, Nathan, you drive from somewhere out that way.
From Decatur as well. Yeah.
That's a tough haul from out there.
Mm-hmm. All the way out in Decatur.
Never go west of the Parkway.
So with that, I'd like to be able, I'd like to be able to contact her tomorrow and let her know that we've agreed to go ahead and hire them and bring them on for this process. In doing so, I'd like to be able to get a contract services started, or a contract for them to have us send a contract up. So I would go ahead and need a motion to allow me to enter into a contract discussion with AASB to provide these services, and then I will contact her tomorrow, and it'll be effective the 1st, so the contract will be how did we talk about this? We said the contract would be effective the 1st, but,
See, AASB writes the contract.
right,
So if you want to go ahead and vote on it tonight, you can authorize Mr. Weiss as board president to enter into a contract with AASB based on the terms that have been discussed in this meeting. If you want to do that, or you can vote on the morning of the 1st, once she's written.
Well,
up
we
the
can do
contract
that,
and You've
too.
had a chance to read it. It's one way or the other.
since we're meeting on the 1st at 7 o'clock, why don't we do that? I'll have her send up the contract, and Cynthia can review it, and then we can vote on it on the 1st.
Will they be able to make addendums to it on the, if we don't get it until the 1st, will we be able to make any addendums? If we just-
She gave me this within an hour yesterday,
Well,
so
when
she should be able to give it to me.
When she sends it up here, he can go ahead and email it out.
Yeah.
And you can have a chance to look at it and ask questions.
At 7 o'clock in the morning? I'm just kidding.
No, email it out.
Oh, make sure you get it plenty of time before that.
Gotcha,
Are we
gotcha.
adding the survey part back into it?
Yeah, I'll ask her to add the survey part back into it. So it'll probably bring the cost up some, but it'll be below the 6,000.
I think it's very important to include our
Sure.
folks.
That's fine, absolutely. So I'll do that. I'll go ahead and ask her to present a contract with that added into it, and then we'll get that up to you, Cynthia, for review, and then we'll get it out to the board for their review. And then we'll bring her up on the 1st, so, all right.
You need a motion on that? and then
I need a
we-
motion and a second, yep.
Motion.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second on allowing the board president to enter into a contract with the Alabama Association of School Boards to provide services for the superintendent search. Any additional discussion? If there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right, so then we're looking at August 8th for a board meeting, regular time, 5:15. August 22nd, Ms. O'Bannon will start with the first budget hearing, is that correct? And then September 5th, September 19th.
Could we change September 19th to the 17th? If that doesn't interfere with
Fine with
anyone
that.
else's schedule.
I'm fine with that.
Is that a Tuesday?
That
is
would be the
Tuesday.
Tuesday instead of the Thursday.
So we are changing the 15th through the 22nd, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good, everybody can go to the ADM hearing.
I may or may not be here on the 22nd, but that shouldn't preclude the board from being here to hear the initial briefing, so
Who are you?
What did you say?
I may or may not be here on the 22nd of August. I have travel for work.
Nathan.
But Nathan
in the
can.
middle.
That's right. Nathan's got the gavel.
That's right.
Y'all are okay moving the 19th to the 17th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and the rest of the days I have.
And I'll send these invites out once we get them all put together. Then we're looking at October 3rd, which is the week before fall break, and the 24th. And then to November, November 7th, November 21st, and these are all Thursdays. With December and the holidays, we're just looking at one meeting on December 12th, and then January 9th and 23rd. And at that point, you should have a new superintendent in place, and they can help schedule the remainder of your board meeting.
You've done an excellent job tonight.
Well, thank
Yes,
you.
he has.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
What date is what's that? September 5th? Okay. Okay.
Except for that 7 a.m. meeting, I think you did a pretty good job, too.
I'll take the blame for that one. I'll take the blame for that one.
And latest we can, September 17th is the latest board meeting that we can approve the capital plan, so we'll have to have that
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
ready to go.
We'll have
It's
one-
due to the state by the 20th.
We'll have 3 meetings in between now and then.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the capital plan is all that unfunded stuff, we know we can move it around whenever we have to. We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
Send something to the state.
Since it's all still
Can I say something before we
Still
close up?
unfunded.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
I do want to thank Mr. Kerry Wilkerson. This is his last board meeting as Chief Operations Officer. So Kerry, thank you for your service and your dedication to the children, staff, and community of Madison County. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kerry. You will certainly be missed, and we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. So.
We're going to have to hire a comedian now.
Well,
There he
I think it's very clear that you're not replaceable. I
Maybe,
mean,
maybe we
had-
could contract with one.
We had to void your whole position since we can't replace you.
But thank you, Kerry.
Thank you, Karen,
Thank you very
so
much. All right. Is anything else? Anybody want to add anything for the good of the board? Well, with that,
I want to say Owens Crossroads got a really good, they're 3 times.
Blue ribbon.
Blue Ribbon Lighthouse.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
First one in the country.
yeah.
outstanding. Very good. Congratulations. All right. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
We don't have an executive session.
We have no executive session unless you want one.
I sent you
Yeah.
some information yesterday, but I had no request from anybody.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Do you?
DOJ?
Yeah.
Do we need one for that? Okay.
Want to ask questions, and we can go into executive session to discuss it?
No, because asking questions doesn't change the outcome at this point at all.
Okay.
No.
Pretty much.
Yeah, cool.
You're cool with it? Okay. Okay, we have a motion for adjournment.
So move.
We have a second. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming this evening.
Hour and a half, man.
Good job, Mark.